Welcome back to Cookie Jar FX with your host Eric Foreman. This is day six, our weekly brownie analysis, week two, and this week is looking very tasty. As last week was looking a little bit of a battle, on an uphill and fighting and trying to find ways to ensure profit was in good standing going into the week. But we was able to claw ourselves back a little bit up to the top and pretty much set ourselves up properly going into the rest of this week. So if you guys remember, the last trade that I was in from last week was euro dollar, um, and had taken a few battle scars. We was down, I think, all the way to like 816 or something like that. Um, by that morning, um, but we were able to kind of fight it back, gain some profit, retract back. We made uh, a few dollars early on in the week, 64, and then we took a few losses. Took that big loss on euro dollar 184 that caused us to drop all the way down. But again, that was because of a little short spike that happened last minute in the day on Thursday. So it spiked up, and I had set up a bunch of positions up in that area that didn't have a stop loss. So luckily, I didn't lock that in because I just couldn't. Uh, the system wasn't allowing me. They were saying a quote error, and I'm glad I didn't set it up because the move ended up continuing downward and then allowing price to push down. So come Friday, I was able to close out with some reasonable profit on my 5 cent positions. I wish I did have let it. I wish I had let it ride out. My only concern was coming into this 4 hour 50 if we were gonna get a bounce and a potential push back up. So I didn't want to take the chance. So I just cashed out um, all the positions just in case I was going to get stopped out again. And if I saw an opportunity for a re-entry at the break of this 50, I was going to re-enter because then it would initially confirm a daily cone trade, which is what I was initially looking for all week. So we were able to claw our way back $34, 35, 35, 28, 20. And then I think I think I had taken a loss somewhere. Another $15 there. And yeah, I had taken a few hits back, trying to rush the entry of my trade. So that messed me up a little bit. $17, $20, 21. But overall, we were able to just kind of again just fight our way back, and now we're only down $71. The critical part about this week is that the targets, and as you guys can see, I got two positions on, up $23, so that'll cut down that 71 or 73, $71 negative right now. So we'll be able to kind of get ourselves back in graceful position. We did reach over the $1,000 mark, which is pretty much break even. Um, like when we were back below this area, but because of the slight pullback at the end of Friday, uh, I'm back down only $23 and then back into negative territory. But what am I looking at for this week on Eurodollar, and why is it still one of my top picks, right? So if we look at the weekly, we finished the weekly off with this wick candlestick, somewhat of a topping tail. Last week candlestick was a topping tail, but they just dragged it out and played the game. And if you pay attention to what tends to happen a lot with the market making, not a lot, but it happened for sure last week with Eurodollar. They immediately broke price downward, so we thought we was initially moving down. That's how I was able to cash out and cash in early. But then they brought price back up, and instead of breaking it high where it didn't break that previous high, they slightly pierced it by, I believe it was 15 pips, 15 10 pips or whatever the amount was, and then they brought price back down to finish the later part of the week. So just wacky movement, wacky activity. I could have played it a lot better towards Wednesday, and so I could have been a lot more patient. Obviously, as I highlighted in my Thursday video, um, I could have been a lot more adequate in my role. So I think in that regards, I could have been better. But again, this is our first week. Take those hits early so that you become a little bit more immune to the losses, and you can kind of build out the way you need to and sharpen out those tools as necessary. So yes, we got the topping tail, we got the wick. So now we should definitely be seeing some activity going into this week for a potential 300 pips down to this next support level. And why do I say that? Because looking at the daily, we are now officially below the 8 MA, the daily 8. And if you guys remember, um, when it comes to one of my plays is the cone trade, and I said we would start paying attention to this, right? So bottoming tail, topping tail, bouncing off of a major resistance support level on a weekly or daily, extending from the 8 to the 20 moving average, causing an open gap potential for a cone trade, right? So what we have here is that we're coming right off of that resistance level. We broke back below, and now we've officially closed below this 8, and we should at least on the bare minimum for the rest of this week be working our way down to this 20 MA, and that's about 180 pips or so. So that'll be the main target. The first target, I do potentially see a double cone, which means that we'll break the 20 at some point and then start working our way down to the 50. The main thing is that this 50 may rise up to roughly about this level, which it already kind of is. So we might break above this level, and then that'll shorten our target a little bit um, in regards to take profit. But that would be my major target. This is my bare minimum target is the 20, and yeah, we'll play it out accordingly. So I'm gonna look to add and build on this position. Not really to chase back some of my profit, but because it is one of my cookie monster trades, and I've already positioned point 20, so I want to be able to at least find a way to get another point 10 in there and really, really maximize profit. Uh, Again, as I said on Thursday, if I'm not in a trade by the close of Friday, which I ended up being with the point 20 on euro dollar, I will be lowering my position down to point zero 0.05. So if this trade closes out on me for whatever reason and I end up back in negative territory coming into this week, then we'll switch out to point or 5 cent positions. But I don't really see that as a likelihood option. So we should see some movement going down because the resistance level has been tested already. We've rejected off of it. They snatched up. They did a bunch of stop hunts up there, so snatched up those dollars for those who were positioned for shorts, me included. And now we've officially set up for a cone trade, which is one of my most favorite trading strategies going into any market. So euro dollar is one of my top picks. It is probably my only pick. You will probably see me guys only trading this week, this whole week, and really managing it and really swinging it to the direction that I feel like is gonna go. So far each position is up about 11 pips. Pretty solid, pretty good, and we'll kind of go from there. So again, targets down here. I do have to set my take profits. Target is here. And then our second target would be roughly about here in that 1.14 price range area. So that's my top pick. My next pick is my pound dollar. I mean pound Aussie. And I love this. One of my good friends, we was looking at this trade all Thursday. Um, because of another play strategy that I have that's not in my playbook is what we call the gift play. So it's a 3 bar pullback right into an MA for support or resistance, depending on the direction. In this case, it's a 3 bar pullback into support. The MAs being a support, and that's the 50 and the 20. And then we immediately got price uh, supporting and getting pushed right back up. So no, not a significant bar on the bullish side, but it also just confirms that we will see price activity starting to move to the upside. Another, and that's on the daily. The other thing that I'm looking at is that we are still in the middle of a weekly cone trade, and being that this is a bottom and tail, we're still well closed above the 8. We have this bottom and tail coming up to 200 is still solid confirmation. So at bare minimum, we should be seeing a target price activity up to the 20. That's about almost 500 pips. The 50 will probably be ideal because it's a flattened 50, and that's about another, what was that, 600 something from where current price is at. Yep, about 600 pips or so. So that's what we're working with. I do want to get into pound Aussie, but as you can see from my free margin, I only have 477. So I don't want to really spread myself too thin. Although I like pound Aussie a lot. And the gift play is one of my most favorites. Pound Aussie moves very smooth and swiftly. So I would love to take it, but I would only be able to probably put at most maybe 5 cents on this trade. But I'll rather maximize my profit potential on euro dollar and add more positions there rather than to take a tight position on pound Aussie and can't expand any further. So that's where we're at with that. One of the pieces of advice and the reason why the weekends, and I just want to highlight this note real quick before closing out. The weekends are so important because you want to be able to utilize the weekends to just really focus in on studying, reviewing, reviewing your charts, reviewing your mistakes, reviewing your P&L, reviewing your trades um, for the previous week, but also the upcoming week, of course. The other part is that you want to reevaluate and reassess your own psychology and your own perspective and efforts, right? So one of the things that I had got honed into, I listen to a lot of stuff every single day. From trading podcasts, I listen to Chat with Traders every single day religiously. Um, and it's always something in the podcast interviews that Aaron Fifield does that gives off some type of seed, whether it's a book recommendation, whether it's a individual that's like doing something real good and positive in the industry. So I usually listen out for those seeds. And on Friday, I was kind of listening to one of the podcasts, and he had mentioned this gentleman, Dr. Brett Steenbarger, and I'm like, okay, like who's this? So I took a moment to just kind of look him up, um, and he's one of the top premier trading psychologists or coaches in the industry, and he has worked with like almost every investment funding company, every type of trader from across the world, and he's just top level, like just on a whole different level. So I took a time to listen out to a few of his stuff on YouTube. Aaron Fifield, actually, I did an interview with him on his channel, Chat with Traders. I think it was episode 63 or 65, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, and it was mind blowing. And again, I got more seeds out of hearing Dr. Brett on his YouTube and on one of the YouTube interviews I listened to, and it led me down another rabbit hole. So, but it is working on that psychology, is working on different perspectives, is working on developing your own mindset, is working on just really pushing you in a direction you need to be pushed in. So that's the thing, and I bring that up because it highlights one of the quotes that I have here, right? So that I have to live by daily. You have to be ready to be successful before you are successful. So if I'm looking to be this top trader or at least build this account out from 1,000 to $1 million and build it through these levels, these incremental levels, I need to be able to put myself in place of this success that I see and envision for myself. But what am I doing on a daily basis to help get me there, right? So like, are you listening to the right things? Are you listening to the right people? Are you taking a time out to study, to read? Like I'm constantly reading, and one of the books that I'm finishing up now, talking about the playbook, is the playbook by Mike uh, Bellafield. I can never pronounce his last name, um, but I'm reading that book. And that was an expensive book to purchase just from a digital copy. But the actual physical book is ridiculously expensive, over $1,000. They're trying to sell it on Amazon from private sellers. Very very valuable stuff. Finished that book. Well, I'm gonna finish that book by the end of today, and I already got my next book in the midst of it. And it don't really have anything to do with trading. It just has to do with the mental psychology. But then I'm also gonna get Dr. Brett Steenbarger's book, Psychology 2.0. He has like 4 or 5 books that he's written, and I plan on reading as many as I can. I already have one of them downloaded as an audiobook. So it's that constant work and that constant development. And it's not about the money, it's about mastery over self. Like Robert Greene speaks about in his book Mastery, like it's that constant craftsmanship to be better and to outwork, outperform yourself. Like you're not competing with anyone else in the world. Like you're competing with you. And I think I've just recognized that more and more. Like nobody's in control of my life except me. Unless we're looking at the universal God and just kind of looking at it from that perspective. But I am the architect of my life. I design what I see, what makes sense, what feels intuitively strong in my gut, in my heart, in my mind, in my soul. So I think that's what it's about. And I think that's what trading brings as a gift that people don't recognize, is that it allows you to be able to work yourself to the best level that you possibly can. So whether it's exercising on a daily basis and making sure your health is in order. So like this past week, because I'm like in constant mode of learning and reading and listening and watching and reviewing, and like I can do that all day to the point where I do not want to sleep. But I got called out this week saying that look, like sleeping is important. Like if you don't sleep or whatever, you unconsciously move in the direction of your life daily, like unaware of just some things that should make sense, but you're not making sense of it. So it's important to get that adequate sleep because your body needs it, your mind needs it, and you need to be awoke and refreshed as you go about your day. So I'm like, yeah, I'll make sure I get some sleep. So I need to make sure I start that and be more consistent on that, and really live or work by a schedule. It's just that it's hard because when you love what you do and you're passionate about what you do, you don't want to stop. So if you're a writer, it's like, yo, you just want to keep writing, keep writing. Um, if you're a web designer, you want to just keep designing the websites and just kind of build on all the creativity. If you're somebody like a trader or whatever, you want to study the charts. You want to, especially if you're in the beginning, it's like you want to really master this stuff. You want to put in the hours. You want to read all the books. You want to watch all the videos. You want to listen to as many podcasts and interviews as you can. Um, so I think in all of that light, it's about being balanced. Like yes, listen to those things, watch those things, build on yourself, but it's also about self care. It's about self preservation. It's about self actualization, like one of my mentors says, where you get to the point where you're really recognizing and honoring the life that you have here and recognizing the value that you bring. But it has to be balanced out to the point where it's healthy, um, and it's good. So I'll leave you guys with that. Um, I'm really looking forward to this week, not only as from a trading standpoint, but just really, I feel like there's so much that I'm learning every single day, and I think that's what's more important on the journey. Is like if you taking a path through the grasses and the rose bushes, make sure you pay attention to the beauty that's surrounding you. A lot of times we miss out on that. So I think even now it's like yes, I'm moving in a direction to become financially successful and well off, but it's not about the money. It's like I'm really appreciating the value that I'm learning from all of these things that are helping me get to that point. So thank you for joining. Just Brownie Bites. Just continue to support as I push forward, and subscribe. Hit the like button. Share it with a friend. Share it with a family member. But thank you again, and let's get rolling on these trades. Let's have a successful week, and I look forward to connecting with you guys. All right, thanks a lot.